Well, ladies and gentlemen, come one, come all. Damon and I are going to break down all of the roster movement for the upcoming 2025-2026 season. Will Carter Bryant be making his sweet, sweet return to McHale next season? Damon and I are going to break it all down on the other side of this countdown on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Don't you go anywhere.
Welcome on in to the AZ Wildcats Pat podcast, live from Studio K, presented by our friends over at Circle K. A little bit of a stumble there, maybe a little bit of a long weekend, Kevin. But we are here. I am Damon Fairall. He is Kevin Thomas. We are in Studio K, as I already said, presented by our friends over at Circle K. Love Circle K, Kevin. The absolute best. Made a stop before our golf tournament that we had this weekend. If you guys came out, thank you so much for being there. It was a lot of fun. We had over 90 plus people there in attendance doing our scramble at Dobson Ranch. Beautiful golf course, Kevin. I know you're not a big golf guy, neither am I, but the vibes. Are the vibes not incredible out there at a golf course, just chilling?
The vibes were immaculate, Damon. The people were very nice. The weather was it was hot, but the weather was good for what it could be when things are hot in Arizona. I had a great time out at Dobson Ranch. You and I chowed down on some bratwurst that they have there. Really, really good place. Really good place. And if you weren't at our PHNX golf tournament in Dobson Ranch, you definitely kind of missed out on a chance to go for that hole-in-one. Me and Damon were the two arbiters of the hole-in-one competition, which, you know, is neither here nor there. Maybe that was a little bit crazy on Espo's behalf, but no one did get that hole-in-one, but you could have if you showed up to our golf event on Saturday. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great time. We love our friends over at Dobson Ranch. We've done 3 tournaments, I believe, over there now, and each one has been better than the last time. So make sure you guys head on out there. And like I said, Kevin, I told everybody this in the lead up, right? Like, we're giving out tons of prizes. I know you took off a little bit early, but like there was probably 10 winners out of the 20 or something groups that we had. So you got a good shot at winning a prize. And it was just a lot of fun. Bo Brock won a prize, which we were kind of like, that doesn't seem like that's right. But
after the shot that I saw him hit,
he did say that was his worst shot of the day.
He said it was his worst shot maybe ever.
Yeah, last night he said that on the PHNX Cardinals show. But yeah, it was a great time. I just love the vibes. Me and Kevin sitting in golf carts, chilling, drinking a couple lagers for you, and just hanging out, man. It was great vibes. So if you guys feel so inclined, feel like you missed out, we will be having more golf tournaments in the future. Just keep an eye on those. But Kevin, how was your weekend in general? How was, you're a big UFC guy. What was how was your feeling about the card?
Finally a good card. Finally a card worth shelling out your hard-earned dollars for. Because, God knows it's not cheap to watch pay-per-views these days. Hopefully with the potential of the UFC going to Netflix or one of those other streaming platforms, maybe we can get rid of the pay-per-view so I can have, more money in my pocket personally. But no, it was a great weekend. The UFC card was incredibly entertaining. We don't got to get too deep into that. Volkanovski retains. It was incredibly fun to watch. Bryce Mitchell get his ass beat. That was awesome. Michael Chandler got his ass beat. It was overall a good time.
Michael Chandler really did.
He really, really, really did. But yeah, Sunday was good. A nice little chores day at the apartment. Got everything done. Meal prepped. It was a good weekend, Damon. Really set myself up for success to go talk about the Arizona Wildcats athletic program this week coming up. How was your weekend?
It was solid, Kevin. Similar vibes. It was a lot of work, I'll be honest. We did the golf tournament on Saturday, did a PHNX Cardinals show on Sunday, but that's what we do it for. We love it, man. And I will say, you talk about setting yourself up for success after, with this weekend going into the week, Kevin, doing some meal prepping. That's what Tommy Lloyd is doing, bringing back couple key contributors to last season's roster to this season. Anthony Dell'Orso, Jaden Bradley both announced their returns this morning, respectively. Dell'Orso first. He kind of announced it on his own with a personal tweet. And And then, of course, Jaden Bradley, the team announces that he re-signed, Kevin, as we talked about last week with Tobe Awaka. But important to get all three of those guys back in the fold, regardless of if college athletics are broken forever.
Quick question for you. Thinking about all this verbiage with re-signed and have come to terms on an agreement and all this stuff, right? Are we supposed to assume now, and again, this is assumption, I could be incorrect, but I'm just talking semantics here. Mm-hmm. Anthony Dell'Orso announces his return on his own, separate from the team. Does not say he re-signed, does not say he came to terms on a new agreement, but Jaden Bradley has re-signed. Tobe Awaka has re-signed. Both of those bits of news came out from the athletic program. So do you think it's safe to assume, or maybe safe to speculate rather, that if you have re-signed or come to terms on a new agreement, that you're probably getting a pay bump, and that Anthony Dell'Orso is likely on the same NIL arrangements that he was on last season? Because I think that's interesting, right? Because you have two players getting re-signed, quote unquote, from the athletic department, and then one player saying he's running it back from his own personal. Just kind of your thoughts on that, because I think that maybe it might be the case there. Again, no inside information on that, but just kind of speculation on the weird terms that get thrown around these days in college basketball.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kevin. I think that there's certainly a conversation to be had about that. Like, maybe we're waiting on an Anthony Dell'Orso re-sign tweet later in the day. I don't know. Like, we'll continue to monitor that. But yeah, certainly it's different than the way in which it was presented for Jaden Bradley and Tobe Awaka, right? So, I think that's a fair inference to make. I don't know. I won't speak to Anthony Dell'Orso's situation, but I think it's fair to say that if they quote unquote re-signed, I feel like Tobe Awaka and Jaden Bradley, and I'm not going to say that they were pushing to leave or leveraging Arizona, because they never entered the portal, right? And if they were trying to do that, they would have entered the portal. But I do think it's fair to say that they probably were like, hey, we want a little bit more money. We want to stay. We want to be Arizona Wildcats, but bump it up a little bit, right? And we probably did see that happen, Kevin, with both of those guys, but much needed, right? And certainly I think that, as is the case with almost every Arizona player, like either of those guys could probably go get more money somewhere else. You don't think Georgia has just a ton of money to pay for? They just got Catchings. Did you see that? Cannon Catchings from BYU commits to Georgia. I can't even imagine the bag that he got there. So, like, think about the SEC schools. I'm certain that, like, Tobe Awaka could be, like, given 30 minutes per game and a pay increase going to play in the SEC again. But ultimately, I think that what Tommy Lloyd is building is guys are willing to take less money to develop their game and win basketball games and be a part of this program. And that's not to say that they're not making anything. I'm sure Jaden Bradley and Tobe Awaka are both being paid very handsomely, but I think the point is that they could probably get paid more handsomely if they were out on the open market, but they're guys that, want to be here and want to help win basketball games for this program, which is special.
It is special. And when you talk about guys that could, find play elsewhere, in the modern era of college basketball, there are a lot of players that already have good situations that seek even greater situations where maybe the grass is not always greener on the other side. I feel like with Jaden Bradley and Tobe Awaka, if you are Jaden Bradley, if you are Tobe Awaka, what situation is better for you? And I guess Tobe Awaka more so for, less so for this, more so for Jaden Bradley.
I agree.
But he still falls under the same umbrella of what situation out there could be better for you and better for your player, personal development and player development than at Arizona, where Jaden Bradley runs the show. Yeah. He is the steadying hand to the offense.
38 minutes a game.
Yeah, he has incredible amounts of institutional knowledge of what Tommy Lloyd wants to do on the basketball court, and he's very trusted, right? Tommy Lloyd trusts Jaden Bradley with his offense, trusts Jaden Bradley with his defense. And so I feel like you'd be setting yourself backwards if you're Jaden Bradley to go anywhere else but to stay at Arizona, and maybe for a little bit of an increased pay bump. But it's worth it to have a guy like Jaden Bradley on your team, because you need guys like Jaden Bradley in the tournament.
Yeah, you certainly do. And Jaden Bradley is a tournament riser. He's done it for 2 seasons now, Kevin. I feel confident in saying that's not a coincidence. That's a trend, right? This is a guy who, when the going gets tough, he wants the ball in his hands and he plays better. And that was kind of what, not to like make this a last offseason podcast, but like that was why I wanted Jaden Bradley over Kylan Boswell moving forward, is because Kylan Boswell consistently shrunk in bigger moments, Kevin. Jaden Bradley rose to the occasion, even coming off the bench, and wanted the ball in his hands and was the best player on the team in that Clemson game, right? So great to have Jaden Bradley back. Your senior point guard, tons of experience. Yeah, I mean, you need experience at your guard spots to win in March. And with Brayden Burries as the 2 guard, Kevin, you don't have that experience. So it's good to kind of yin and yang that a little bit and get yourself a guy who has that experience level like JB does in the building. I want to shout out everybody in this chat already here. We got a crew in here, Kevin. We got Alexander, we got AD, we got Erica, of course. What's up, bestie? We got Trevor, we got Willie Dog, all the crew. We got Tom, of course. I'm sure June's in here somewhere. I'm sure my rents are in here somewhere, Kevin. But bear down, everybody. Good to see everybody here. Leave a like on this video if you haven't done so already. There she is. There's June. But yeah, I think, it's good news to be getting these players back in the fold. And what it really does, Kevin, is it lessens the needs on this roster moving forward, right? Like you look at what Arizona currently needs, and and we can get into this, and this will probably be the large portion of the discussion of the show. But I think you're looking at, you got Evan Nelson, right? You got that backup point guard you needed. I think what we're looking at currently is you want Carter Bryant back / a transfer wing if he intends to join the draft and go through that process, and you need a developmental big man, your third big, right? Other than that, this roster feels pretty complete, right?
It really does. Like it doesn't feel like Tommy Lloyd and Arizona have any. I'll say even without the big, right? Even without the developmental big, assuming Carter Bryant returns, you really don't have. Shout out Tucson Raceway. You really don't have any holes on the roster. There are places on the roster where you'd want to improve.
Yeah.
There are places on the roster where maybe you might be nitpicking and you might want a guy who's this much better than the guy that's right there already. But there are really no holes on Arizona's upcoming roster for next season. Again, even without a developmental backup big, because that is kind of like cherry on the top if you're trying to compete for a national title. But if you're just talking to straight up roster construction, Arizona's roster for next season is versatile. It's big. It's physical. It's skilled. It has a mix of youth, a mix of experience, a mix of blue chippers, a mix of under-recruited guys.
The front court is very diverse as well with Krivas and Awaka. Like you can switch that up based off play style, what's working.
Yeah, it really does not feel like Arizona has a huge hole on the roster coming up next season. But like people have said on Twitter, like Big Crack in the back here says in the chat, a rib running big would be not only great, but it would take the roster to a true level of, if you're coming into next season, you have to talk about Arizona as a true title contender if they are able to go out and get that developmental big who can kind of supplant some minutes for Krivas and Awaka and even Peat to an extent as well.
Yeah, certainly, Kevin. And I think Big Crack in the back is right. Like a rim running big is kind of the guy that you want. And I think it's got to be in the mold of an Emmanuel Stephen. That's why we're right when he left, right? And right when Henry left, and Saul said this on McHale Madness. Go check that episode out if you haven't done so already. But, it feels like there was somewhat of a missed opportunity from Emmanuel there where it's like, that role becomes a little bit more designated for you, right? Like, Henry Vasar got in there, and what did he do? He earned playing time, Kevin.
Made himself potentially millions of dollars.
He did.
This upcoming season.
He certainly did make – I think he did make 7 figures.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact number was, but he made himself a lot of money doing exactly what Emmanuel Stephen could have done.
Exactly. And so it's like – and I know Krivas got hurt, and that makes it different, right? But, like, I do think that Henry got in there, and he proved that he deserved that playing time. And, similarly, like – I'm sure he's going to play 30-plus minutes a game at UNLV, so it might be a good decision on his part. But, you just need someone in that mold, a young developmental big who you expect could stay a couple years, get a guy to buy in on Tommy Lloyd, get a guy to buy in on Tommy Lloyd, the big man developer. Here are all these guys. Here's this long SpongeBob list that, rolls out for miles of big men that Tommy Lloyd has developed from kind of nothing into really, really good college basketball players. And I think you just need to find that guy, hopefully a dude with like 3 years of eligibility left, Kevin, and just kind of roll with it.
Yeah, excuse me. I agree with you, Damon. I think that what really baffles my mind about the Emmanuel Stephen thing, and again, I don't know him. I don't have insider information to it. I don't know like what's going on in his personal life. Like I don't know what his motivations were to make the decisions that he made. But just on the outside looking in, it's kind of an interesting decision to make, right? Because if he didn't know that Vesar was leaving,
Yeah.
right, there was even still time to come back once you figured out that he was leaving. And I felt like if Emmanuel Stephen is worried about having food on his plate, so to speak, next season, there would have been more to go around. Like you would have gotten fed next season if you're Stephen. So it's interesting to me that Stephen would choose UNLV, which obviously, coming off of a good year last year, the Lobos, like that is a program that's been shown that they can develop talent. You do lose Patino though to Xavier, so that's a question mark and all that as well when you're talking about Emmanuel Stephen. But it does just seem like there was a missed opportunity on the outside looking in from his part. Again, not knowing how much he got paid to go to UNLV, not knowing what his promises, what he was promised upon arrival to UNLV. But it does feel like if Emmanuel Stephen's on this roster next season, you really just need Carter Bryant to come back, and then you are dancing. You are ready to compete already next season. And that's not a place that many rosters are in right now, right?
No.
Like there are a lot of rosters that are going to be in contention next season, preseason, that have not yet gotten that last piece or have not yet gotten that guy to return. And Arizona, to an extent, falls under that umbrella because, and we're going to talk about it here, Carter Bryant, he's that last piece.
Yeah.
If you can get Carter Bryant back, you are talking about, can Arizona win a national championship next season?
Day 3,647 of Carter Bryant watch. Rations are low, morale waning. I'm just kidding. I think morale gets better by the day, doesn't it?
With every day that goes by without a post, without a little graphic on social media, vibes get better. The belief gets higher. And honestly, with every day that passes by, Carter Bryant just keeps reposting Brayden Burries stuff, keeps reposting tweets from other platforms saying how this roster is just loaded for next year's Arizona. And you're looking around like, well, if he's keeping track of how loaded Arizona is, he must know that they are taking into account him returning.
Well, I do have some news for you, Kevin, because I did want to check based off of what you were just saying. He has reposted the Jaden Bradley re-signed Instagram post from the Arizona men's basketball on his story. And he has reposted Anthony Dell'Orso's "Let's Run It Back" on his story.
And that's the type of stuff that, again, I don't want to be too like dramatic about it.
Yeah.
But like, if he's not coming back, this isn't. Again, he could just be totally innocently like, I support my program. I support my school forever.
Very well.
He might do this even if he leaves. He might do this until the end of time. Just like repost everything positive relating to Arizona. But it really feels like Carter Bryant is locked in on what needs to happen for next season to be a success for Arizona. And Trevor here says it in the chat, like, quit teasing. Like if Carter Bryant does leave, this all like would have felt like a huge tease of like, I'm gonna come back. Just kidding. It was just, I'm just supporting my guys, which is totally possible.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't necessarily, I wouldn't like dislike Carter Bryant or feel some type of way towards Carter Bryant if he did decide to go at this point.
It's not Ephesians Prysock posting his number
his
7 jersey with a link for Arizona fans a week before transferring to Washington.
Yeah.
It's different than that.
It's a lot different. And I feel like it just, at this point, like you said, with every day that goes by, your hope increases just that much more. And so at this point, it would feel kind of crushing if Carter Bryant waited all this time to announce and still left. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Lost Highway makes a good point. Like I think Kevin and I are probably still both in your neck of the woods here in terms of like, I think he's still going to go through this whole process and figure out what teams are saying about him. But I can't help but think that a guy who had as little usage as Carter Bryant did last year needs an extra season. Like, I get that he has an NBA body. I get that he has the coordination and skill set that teams are looking for, and that there's a lot of room for growth in a Carter Bryant type of player, right? Like, Carter Bryant could be a star in the NBA, and I don't think any of us would be shocked, Kevin. Like, he is that type of guy from a athleticism and body perspective. But at the same time, he didn't show any of that off the dribble kind of ability during the season last year. And maybe he has a lot more in the bag than he showed. Maybe maybe NBA teams feel more comfortable about it. It could be like a Karl Anthony Towns at Kentucky situation, right? Where like, I don't think the guy attempted a 3-pointer at Kentucky. Now he's like the best sharpshooting 3-pointer for a big man in the NBA.
He might be one of the best sharpshooting bigs ever. Like, you know what I mean?
I think
like he might be the best. Like he might be the best.
Yeah, I think statistically he's number one.
Yeah.
And so, with the amount of attempt, the volume that he's shooting. So, yeah, I mean, I think that there's a potential that that's the case, that Carter does have more off the dribble ability than maybe we saw. But I just feel like if he came back for an extra season and showed that on film in actual games, like the sky's the limit for that guy in terms of where he can be drafted and just kind of what teams are feeling about him. So I know a lot of Arizona fans are on the same page as me. Like, I get it's wishful. I get that, we're speaking from a place of like, damn, we want this guy back. But at the same time, I do think it would be beneficial for him to come back. And I think he would, I think that it would really help his the future of his career here. But yeah, I mean, certainly we're looking at Carter Bryant being that final piece. Here's one last thought I'll have on this, Kevin, and we'll get into kind of where he's projected right now and other stuff. But do we think that Tyrone Riley and his decision to come back to San Francisco, you think that could have had anything to do with Carter Bryant? Like, do you think that Arizona potentially could have been like, hey man, we'd love to have you on this team if Carter leaves, but we anticipate that Carter's going to come back. So we're pulling ourselves out of the process here. It could be wishful thinking. I think I've been doing wishful thinking with Carter for about a month now. Like, maybe KJ left because Carter's coming back. Maybe
Tommy ordered that bagel this morning because he just
he ordered 2 bagels and one was for Carter
because he just talked to Bryant and then he wanted a burrito or a bagel.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Something like that. But no, Damon, real quick, I want to touch on this. Coach Riley says here in the chat, you guys are so selfish. Carter is an NBA player. Tell me a sophomore who came back and was a high draft pick. I think there have been many sophomores who have gone to the NBA draft and been high draft picks. But my one thing with this is, yes, we are. We're definitely being selfish, right? Sure. We definitely want Carter Bryant to come back. I'm not going to deny that at all. But I think I'm
a fan of this team and this program.
Yes, and I also think that Coach Riley, other people in the chat know that if Carter Bryant right now, he's projected probably anywhere in that 25 to 19 to 17 range, right? So he's low lottery at the best, or at the worst, at the worst, what you know what I'm trying to say here. That's his range, and I think when you're talking about a player who could come back and cement himself, certify himself as undeniably a lottery pick, it changes his life's trajectory. And I say that because of this. If you go like 23 overall to a team that's pretty decent already, you're not going to get the investment, the time, the development, the individual care that a lottery pick will get. Because you know what a lottery pick is? Someone else's meal ticket. A lottery pick is someone who can decide whether a GM keeps their job for 5 years or loses their job in 5 months. A lottery pick decides the entire trajectory of the next couple seasons of a franchise. And I think that is the difference for Carter Bryant. This is a player who chose to come off the bench at Arizona when he could have started at 85% of college programs across the nation. Yeah, I was just kind of being conservative there. He could have started at almost any place in college last season, but he chose to come off the bench. Why do we believe he did that? Because he believed that Tommy Lloyd would develop him as a player, as a person to where he wanted to be. And I think when you look at the profile of a guy like that, it doesn't profile out as someone who says, well, I'm going in the first round, peace. It profiles out as a guy who says, well, I'm going in the first round, but where am I going? Who's coaching me? Who's working with me on a day-to-day basis? And is that better than my current situation? So, yeah, we are definitely being selfish, Coach Riley, but I think that there is a legitimate case for Carter Bryant to come back and increase the chances of him having a, decade-plus career in the NBA versus him coming in next season still having to fight to have a role on a team, even though he just went in the first round.
I think Dalen Terry is the perfect example of recent example of like a guy who could have probably used an extra season because now he's struggling to get minutes on the Bulls in year 3 or whatever it is at this point. Like, you don't think that Tommy Lloyd could have used an extra year of development to kind of get his shot moving a little bit, make him the star of the team? Like, I think that could have really benefited a Dalen Terry. And here's an example that I think is a good one, and maybe it's a little bit different because of just the profile of player that they are. But like you look at a guy like Grayson Allen, who was a bench player similar to Carter Bryant, went off in the tournament and really had a big NCAA tournament en route to Duke's last title that they won with Jahlil Okafor, Justice Winslow, and all those guys. And
God, forgot about Jahlil Okafor.
His stock was pretty high coming after that tournament when he had a really good. He scored 16 in the national championship game. Like, he was a really good player. He came back for an extra season, was the star of the team, became a first-round pick because of it, Kevin. And Carter will be a first-round pick in my opinion, but it's just the lengths to which he could get to. But again, it's a. I'm not saying that that Carter should come back necessarily. You never know. Maybe it works out for him if he leaves, Kevin. But yes, we are going to approach it from a little bit of a selfish perspective, given that, we want this team to be really good next year. But yeah, I want to shout out everybody here in the chat. I agree, Tony. Carter does have more upside than Dalen, but I just thought that was a good recent example. But yes, shout out everybody in the chat. Brandon, Coach Riley, thank you for contributing to the conversation here. Trevor Booth, Tony, and then JR, all the people that Michael, and all the people we shouted out already, Kevin. Drop a like on this video. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. We are on the road to 40K here at PHNX Sports, Kevin. And we are pretty damn close, brother. Let me see here. We are at 38.9 right now. So help us reach 40K. We're trying to reach 40K by the NFL Draft, which is a week from Thursday.
And in the spirit of the NFL Draft, if you want more of Damon and I, if you want more of our breakdown, more of our analysis, some of our takes that we let off in our Discord where you can chat with us daily at any time of the day about whatever you want. I like to talk about food, but also Arizona Wildcats sports in general. You can become a diehard as well. So we're going to be running a quick offer on that here coming up pretty soon, Damon.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, make sure to get in on the diehard offer here pretty soon, because Damon and I are going to have you locked and loaded on all your Wildcat stuff. Fun, funny, indifferent, serious in the Discord. And it's a good time, Damon. It's a good time.
It certainly is. AD, we appreciate you, my brother. Means the world to us. Michael makes a good point. Ben Matherin stayed 2 years. Look what it did for his development. Was he the 6th overall pick by the Pacers?
Yeah.
After his sophomore season, and he was probably undrafted after his freshman season.
And you want to talk about investment and development? Look at the time that the Pacers have put into Benedict Matherin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shout out to you, JR, who says 7,000 subscribers when he subscribed to PHNX. That's growth, homies.
That's before I was even a part of PHNX, Kevin.
That's before I was even a breath in the wind.
So I was probably like the first crop of non-OGs at PHNX, like the people that were hired post the original folks. And I probably joined on, I want to say around 15K. So JR is a OG, but Kevin, we are going to talk about where Carter has been projected in recent mock drafts and just kind of the NBA vibes around Carter Bryant right now, right after this break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast.
Well, Brandon Bills, probably maybe my favorite addition to my life since I've started working here at PHNX. Did not know about our good friends over at Brandon Bills prior, but this Double B's logo on this, Chris, look how white that is. Chris,
That's a nice
high quality hat. Brandon Bills, they got all the different flavors. They got all the flavors. They got this flavor, they got that flavor. They had the flavor from before, and then they got this flavor as well. You like that bear down badge? I like that bear down badge. Our friends over at Brandon Bills have all the keys to elevating your brand, whether it's truckers, fitteds, snapbacks, tees, you name it. Brandon Bills has got it on lock. So if you're looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd, Brandon Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Also, if you don't want to go make your own hat, that's cool. You can go down to the Arizona School store, and they got an exclusive Brandon Bills rack there with only designs you can get there. I looked online, can't get them there. Asked the Brandon Bills guys when they came in, they didn't even know. That's how exclusive it was. The Brandon Bills people came in, they didn't even know that happened. So make sure to support our friends over at Brandon Bills. Head to brandonbills.com. Use code PHNX for 20% off of your first order of some of the best hats in the world.
Kevin, I don't know if you saw, they did make, in fact, a version of the hat that we talked to them about. So they now have that Wilbur with the cowboy.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
We did that. You and I did that.
We did in fact do that.
I got this
Instagram ad the other day about it. And
man.
That's pretty sweet.
That's pretty lit.
Another thing that's sweet, saving $350 on new flooring. That's with our friends at Empire Today. And yeah, we have our Empire Today flooring out there in Studio A. It is beautiful, not a scuff on it. And we have absolute disgusting savages in this office that would find a way to break it if they could. But guess what? Empire Today is that high quality of a product. And here's what else that they offer that is better than, going to a big box store, Kevin. They're going to bring you all of that flooring to your house. You don't have to lug it home. You don't have to figure out a way to get a trailer, rent a trailer. Empire Today is going to take care of that. They're also going to install it for you. You don't got to worry about getting your own installer. They're going to make that process as easy peasy as possible, Kevin, because they are the flooring experts, and this is what they do all the time. Like I said, it's going to be $350 off a new floor if you use our promo code PHNX when buying an Empire Today flooring. Let's be honest, guys. We all have our do-it-yourself projects that don't go well, right? Like Kevin, you don't strike me as a tools guy.
Oh, my hands are soft as a baby's butt. Yeah. I ain't going
Kevin
nowhere
gets
near
manicures,
no hard tools.
Like this. Kevin would be the last guy you'd want to see start trying to install his own flooring. That's why Kevin's going to call Empire Today to get that job done. And he's going to do it at the most affordable price in the business as well. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners can receive $350, guys, when using promo code PHNX. Yes, you heard that right. That is $350 discount with promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/PHNX for full details.
Damon, I want to start off here. Erica says in the chat, did Kevin get a haircut? No, but I did take step one towards getting a haircut because
I was gonna say that you definitely made Kevin's day by hearing that.
Well, no, I'm trying to make your day. I'm trying to say that we are one step closer to the CLB heart being added to my head here. Because real quick, peek behind the curtain is a couple months back, I got a haircut, but the barber, he lined up my back line too high, and I had to pull out one of my locks because he cut out the foundation to where it was growing from. So I was traumatized to go get a haircut anywhere for that sake. But I did get a retwist yesterday, so now my line should be pretty clear for where the barber needs to be at. So I will this weekend be going to get that haircut where I will be having a heart somewhere yet to be determined on my head. Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, Kevin and I, we made a little friendly wager here during the NCAA tournament. And we were going to do a survivor pool for as long as it lasted, picking one team every round to win, their game. And then we were going to move on. And loser had to get a certified lover boy Drake-style heart etched into their haircut when they got a new haircut. And unfortunately, our guy Kevin here, who did I pick, Kevin? I picked Gonzaga.
You did pick the Zags.
I picked Gonzaga, and they got an easy peasy 30-point W against Georgia. And the rule was you couldn't pick a top 4 seed in the first round. It had to be 5 seeds or later, the 5-12, vaunted 5-12 matchup. And I believe that's what you picked, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I tried to be supportive. I tried to be a good guy. I tried to be nice. I tried to support.
Tried to rep the hometown.
Yeah, I tried to support my hometown, Mizzou Tigers. Go Tigers, MIZZOU. And unfortunately, my guy Drizzy Drake, Aubrey Graham, the Drake Bulldogs got me out of there in round 1. Unfortunate, man. Unfortunate.
Yes, that was certainly Kevin's biggest mistake was betting against Drake with a certified lover boy heart on the line.
Couldn't have been a dumber thing to do.
Couldn't be a dumber thing to do.
There was not a dumber pick on the board. There was not a pick on the board that more cemented me losing than that one.
And now you can legitimately, Kevin, when people are like, "Oh, when you get that?" You could be like, "Drake gave it to me."
Yeah, so, I got this because Drake said enough. I had to.
Yeah, you don't got to give any more details than that. But yeah, Mizzou putting a heart in Kevin's hair. Gonna look sweet when he gets that done this week.
I think this weekend I'm gonna try to get.
Hell yeah, man! Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, Kevin, we were gonna talk about some Carter Bryant mock drafts, and you compiled a list here of some of the most recent mocks that have Carter Bryant selected here. So why don't you hit us with, kind of where the range that we're talking about right now?
Yeah. So if we're talking about Carter Bryant draft stuff, as far as, when I updated this last, as Damon is getting praised for his disturbing of the pot.
No.
Stirring it up. Damon Dog never would ever stir.
Can I talk about that real quick just since it's on topic?
Yeah.
I got to say, I knew exactly what I was doing when I tweeted it. I knew that it was bait. I knew that I'd hook a couple big fish there. At the same time, I tweeted nothing but facts. And I literally, like, it's so funny how angry statistics made people. Like, real statistics that happened in a game. That being said, gotta love a little bit of a back and forth with ASU fans. It'd been a minute, Kevin. I needed to get something going, but you continue with Carter Bryant.
No, it's all good. I just wanted to say that, like, you stirring the pot, I've never once heard of. I didn't even think you owned a spoon. But Carter Bryant,
I would never.
For Carter Bryant, he's projected, and this is as of Friday. This is when I did all the compilations as of Friday. So if someone has updated their draft board since then dramatically, I apologize. But this is generally going to be the range that Carter Bryant could fall in the draft. On 3, had him going number 23 to the Thunder, which I feel like if you're going 23, but also to the Thunder, that might be the best possible franchise right now for him to go to.
Yeah.
Yahoo Sports has him at 18 to Brooklyn via Milwaukee.
I would hate that.
That would be gross. How quick could you get me on a flight back to Tucson is what I would say if I was Carter Bryant. Fox has him.
Is it too late to return?
You know what's crazy? Fox has him 27 to the Nets via Houston. So some of these mock drafts say, Carter Bryant, you are a Brooklyn Net. I don't care if it's 18. I don't care if it's 27. I don't care if it's a trade up. Gross. You're ending up in Brooklyn. SI, Sports Illustrated, has him as number 22 overall.
Gross.
To the Wizards via Memphis. Shout out to Erica. ESPN has him number 20 to the Thunder. Which
that would be electric.
Yeah, again, 23 or 20 to the Thunder would be great for his career objectively, and I wouldn't besmirch him leaving if that's the intel that he's getting via the Clippers. And then CBS. Can you guess which team CBS has projected him to? 26 to the Brooklyn Nets via the New York Knicks. So, as you can see here, it seems like it's either going to be Thunder or Nets, with Bleacher Report /NBA.com mocking him to the Magic at number 16.
I like that last.
Which is by far the highest pick that he's been mocked so far. So, if Carter Bryant goes through these meetings, and NBA scouts fall in love with his personality as a basketball player just as much as Arizona fans have, just as much as the Arizona coaching staff had.
Yeah.
We as Arizona fans could be in some trouble because that 16 might turn into a 14 and that 18 might turn into a 16 and the 27 might turn into a 20. And all of a sudden he's cemented himself as a lottery guy just off of the personality and work ethic that he shows when he speaks about the game of basketball. But I hope that Carter Bryant has his lips shut during these NBA meetings. Because, like I said, it is easy to fall in love with the work ethic of Carter Bryant, the mentality of Carter Bryant. So, if you ask me, Damon, honestly, what I think the odds are that Carter Bryant returns versus forgoes a return for the NBA, I feel like it's 60-40 he returns.
Okay.
I think 60% of the time, if you run the simulations 10 times, I think 6 out of those 10 times Carter Bryant returns.
Okay.
I think 4 out of those 10 times he goes to the NBA draft process and gets such good intel that he can't pass up that kind of an opportunity. And when those things come, you gotta accept that. So, yeah, I'm confident. I'm weary because, like I said, the money is so good. The infrastructure is so good in the NBA. Again, that's your life's dream. Your life's dream was never to, I'm going to play 2 years in college. You know what I mean? I'm going to play in college on my way to the NBA. So, yeah, that's where I think Carter Bryant's at. That's where he's mocked at right now, Damon. What are some of your thoughts on the teams that he's been mocked to?
Well, I was going to say, I think that I would probably go a little bit closer to 50-50 range, but sitting somewhere similar to you in terms of I think I really don't know how to feel about the situation. I really do think that there's an avenue to both things being very possible here. Not often do you see the guy come back. To Coach Riley's point earlier, most of those guys do end up leaving for sure. But as you brought up earlier in the show, Kevin, Carter is clearly a special individual in terms of valuing his development, his long-term development over the short-term success, right? So that's the only, thing that gives you pause, right? Is that he's a guy who, he clearly would rather come off the bench for a Tommy Lloyd team and play less if he thinks that's better for his career than, the alternative of playing 35 minutes a game on a crap Syracuse team or something like that, right? So I would say I'm sitting about 50-50, similar to you.
Can I ask you? Can I throw a question at you?
Yeah.
If Carter Bryant does not return, if Carter Bryant is gone, like Tony thinks, like Lost Highway thinks, like like many other Arizona fans think, I'm not just singling those.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, it is. I think they're probably leaning on the more side of what's likely to happen than you and I are, right? But if Carter Bryant does not return, and Arizona is left without that high-end potential wing player that Carter Bryant was supposed to be.
Yeah.
If Arizona doesn't replace him in the portal because of the timing of it, because of whatever the situation may be, how much of that do we place on Tommy Lloyd for not having a backup plan in place? And again, I'm assuming if he does declare there is a backup plan in place, but I'm saying down the road, if we get to tip-off of next season and Carter Bryant's not on the roster and his replacement is not on the roster, or at least what we think to be his direct replacement is not on the roster.
Yeah.
How are we feeling towards Tommy Lloyd in relation to the situation? Because I feel like if you're the CEO of the program like Tommy Lloyd is, you have to be in constant communication with Carter, know where his head is at, and maybe he doesn't know. Excuse me. Maybe Carter Bryant really is up in the air and Tommy Lloyd really can't. He's kind of paralyzed because he can't make moves one way because Carter Bryant's being iffy on it, but he also can't, go get a guy because that might decrease his chances of Carter coming back, right? So do you feel like Tommy Lloyd would have to have some questions answered at the end of this offseason if Carter Bryant is not on the roster?
I think that we've well established that Tommy Lloyd is the type of coach where he goes for the pie in the sky, scenario rather than going for, something that he deems as lesser. We saw it with Caleb Love last year where Caleb Love entered the process, and I'm sure Tommy had it on pretty good authority that he was coming back for the most part the whole time, Kevin, but he did leave himself up to the chance that Caleb Love, hears something from NBA scouts and jumped at that opportunity, and then all of a sudden look at last year's team who fills that role. Arizona would have been screwed.
Yeah.
Like they needed Caleb Love in that kind of volume type scorer to fit in last year's roster because literally no one else could have played that role. So I think that we have seen Tommy risk this kind of stuff before. I think that's his mentality is I'm going to go for the best case scenario that I can get. And I think that that's what he's doing here with Carter Bryant potentially, which is, we're going to assume Carter's coming back until he doesn't. And I'm okay with it as long as Tommy has it on pretty good authority that, Carter is seriously considering coming back, which I would imagine he'd be way more privy to than almost anybody else other than like Carter's own family. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I think that it's the best shot at making deep tournament runs is the mentality that Tommy has, but we also haven't been in a spot yet where that's come to bite us in the ass, right? So maybe I'll be singing a different tune if, come next season, we're sitting there with having to start Aristote as a freshman in the starting lineup or something, or ADO again, which wouldn't be the end of the world, but
it wouldn't be. Yeah.
It's like
that
wouldn't be the ideal lineup that maybe we kind of laid out for each other going into next season. So yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that being Tommy's mentality as long as it works more often than it doesn't, Kevin. That's kind of my take on the matter.
I agree with you. I just wanted your take on that because I was sitting over here thinking to myself, if Carter Bryant does go to the league, obviously, like you have to have some sort of contingency plan for that. And if there is no contingency plan, whose fault is that? And that kind of falls on Tommy Lloyd's plate, in my opinion. Damon, we are going to talk more about Arizona basketball. I'm going to ask you some questions about what Adia Barnes had to say this weekend because, as we all know, Adia Barnes is not very shy with her words, and she had some things to say this past weekend that rubbed some people the wrong way.
Including Kevin.
Oh, man. So Damon and I are going to talk more about that on the other side of this break. It's the AZ Wildcats podcast. Leave a like. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Fairall Royce is the name to know if you are a home buyer, home seller, anyone interested in setting yourself up for future success financially. Fairall Royce is the place to be at because not only do they have the best lenders so that you cannot have to worry about all the financial mumbo jumbo that goes on during these negotiations, and also Fairall Royce, they have your best interest in mind. If you want to go in, give them your goals, they will help you set and reach those goals in relation to you either finding your dream home, your first home, your next home, selling your home, whatever it might be. And not only that, they have guaranteed offers, which is not something you can just find at any other realty group. With Carol's 18-month buyback guarantee, you can buy with peace in mind. Maybe you're looking to move out, but you need to sell first. Buy one of Carol's homes, and she'll buy yours for cash straight cash, homie. So if you are ready to find your dream home, your first home, maybe just your next home, take the next step. Call Carol Royce. Write this number down, 480-776-5231, or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. Tell them PHNX sent you their way. That's Carol Royce Team, ROYSE team.com. Terms and conditions do apply.
Certainly do, Kevin, and we love our friends over at Carol Royce. We also love our friends at Sanderson Ford. Kevin, we were on the hole. It was given away. The Sanderson Ford prepaid 2-year lease. No one got it, but a couple people got pretty damn close, brother. We had Britton Golden from PHNX Cardinals, a former Arizona Cardinal wide receiver.
Like he needs a prepaid lease.
Was about 10 feet from the pin on the par 3, 185 to the pin there, and yeah, that was my joke at the time. Was of course the NFL player needs the free truck, but then we had another guy in one of our second to last group, Kevin, about 5 feet from the pin. You just missed it right when you left, and it was almost a beautiful sight to behold, but unfortunately no one got it. I think that means me and Kevin get to split it and
company car
year for year lease on that guy. But here's the good news about Sanderson Ford. They're going to have all the cheapest Fords in anywhere that you could find when it comes to it. So head on over to their dealership. Is the largest Ford dealership in all of America, Kevin, and is from America for America as well. They are the most awarded Ford dealership for a reason, and they also have the best deals. They're giving away employee pricing this month, Kevin, which is a big deal. It means that people like me, like you, like everybody at home are going to get the employee discounts that you would get on a Ford truck, on all types of Ford vehicles.
Unbelievable deal.
It really is an unbelievable deal, and it is now the best time to buy a new Ford with From America for America employee pricing. This offer excludes the 2025 Expedition, the 2025 Super Duty, the Raptors, the Mustangs, and the Bronco specialty vehicles, but there is still a lot of vehicles to choose from in that group, including the regular Broncos, Kevin, which, hey, that's my type of getup. That's my type of vibe.
Good enough for me.
And, of course, the F-150s as well. Just a beautiful, beautiful truck. We got firsthand look at one of them, Kevin. Unbelievable looking truck. Go head on over to Sanderson Ford today in Glendale. Check out their campus. And yeah, we love our friends at Sanderson Ford. Great people. Ron was out there too. Our guy
Wonderful
Ron.
people over at Sanderson Ford.
Unbelievable.
You know, Damon, let's talk about some women's basketball stuff here to end out this show, because I think you and I, we have been very fair. We have been very, I think fair is the right word with Adia Barnes and everything that, like,
much to the chagrin of, I think, both sides. Like, I think that people, this is such a polarizing topic because Adia has so many shooters, right? Like, for lack of a better word, like people that put their ski mask on and you know what I mean? Like,
I totally do. I totally do.
On the same end of the token, there's so many people that just despise Adia now, and they've like completely forgotten, in my opinion, about all the highs that we experienced with Adia that we had never seen before. So, like, I definitely find myself way more in the middle on this subject, which is crazy for me because typically I love picking a side. I love getting in on either hating somebody or loving somebody and just going to war over it. But yeah, I mean, Kevin, I think you have found yourself now on the side of more of the haters more recently. And would you like to divulge why?
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm on the side of, well, no, because listen, I don't want to be, I don't want to be, hold on, but I don't want to be in the same bed as some of the people that are on that other side. You know what I mean? But I will say that, like, some of the things that Adia Barnes has said since she's left Arizona have definitely rubbed me the wrong way as an Arizona Wildcat, as just someone who follows the program and things as a whole. Like, I guess I'll just let Adia speak for herself here, but like this comment that went somewhat viral over the weekend is what I'm referencing here, and I'll let Adia speak for herself.
It's who you work for is really important. Just your leader having the vision, and I talked before about supporting women and supporting women's athletics. It's just a fact. If you look across the country, if you look at all the recent hires, they've all hired mid-major, underqualified people because they don't really care. Damon Evans cares, wants to win in everything, and I saw that vision, or else I wouldn't have came here.
A wild thing to like. I understand that there was a question asked, and I understand that she was kind of answering about like why she believes in SMU's vision and what, you know, was important to her coming to SMU. But again, you talked about it earlier with your Arizona State tweet. She knew what she was saying. Like, she's not, you know what I mean? Like, she knew what she was saying.
She's kind of the petty queen.
Yeah, like when you say like, oh, look around the country at these hires, they're mid-major, underqualified, getting hired just because clearly the schools don't care, and it's like it totally rubbed me the wrong way because
It should.
It is you left, you chose to leave, and I understand that. No, but listen, I understand that it was a forced choice towards the end, right? It was kind of like a choiceless choice in a way. But also, like, it got to that point in part because of her. Yes. It got to that point in part because of her choices.
It seems as though she has no accountability in
exactly.
how
it's
this
everybody else's fault.
It is.
Everyone was taking resources from Adia Barnes. No one wanted to give Adia Barnes any support. No one wanted to help Adia. Blah blah blah. But now look how great my old school is, right? Or look how great my new school is, and it's wild to me because Adia Barnes at the end of that. After that, she's talking about how our AD really wants to win. He wants to compete in every area of the game. And it's like, what was Becky Burke saying as soon as she sat down at the press conference table? I spoke with DRF, and we want to win championships. We think we can compete. We think this program can be serious. So was DRF just having completely different motivations when she was talking? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Adia wanted one thing, and if it wasn't what Adia Barnes got, then Adia Barnes got no support, and that's just what it was. You know what I mean? So when I saw her say that, and then she got backlash and kind of walked it back by saying all of this, I want to sincerely apologize for what I said the other day. It wasn't what I meant at all. I have a deep respect for the incredible coaches at the mid-major schools and recognize the hard work and talent across the board. What I was trying to express is that at some institutions, financial decisions around women's basketball can often come down to resource allocation, which we all get. With a primary focus placed on football and men's basketball, I completely understand and respect those decisions. That is why I'm especially grateful and proud that SMU is choosing to invest in women's sports during this time. It truly means a lot. Which, again, I really do think Adia Barnes cares about resource allocation in women's sports, cares about growing the game, cares about, making sure that women's sports are getting the attention that they deserve at the collegiate level. And I'm not trying to disparage any of that. But I think some of the ways in which she goes about it, Damon, are just unnecessary.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that comment was unnecessary. Yeah. And I think that if you're Adia Barnes and you're reflecting back on what went wrong in Arizona, it doesn't really seem like Adia Barnes ever talks about Adia Barnes in what went wrong at Arizona during her time here, which is unfortunate, again, because like you always talk about, she is a legend at this school. She is a legend in the city of Tucson. She is someone that the program will never forget, will always be a part of the Arizona basketball history, not just women's basketball history in Arizona. And so I think it's unfortunate that, and again, you say that's how she'll be remembered. I almost feel like fans will have this bitter taste.
When did I say that?
Oh, I thought you said it on a recent show. They're like down the road she'll be remembered for what she. I might be
decades
wrong.
From now.
Yeah, I might be wrong on assuming that. But anyway, Adia Barnes, it's kind of a really sad fall from grace from a fan's perspective of like, here's this person that just 3 years ago you're like, wow, I love Adia Barnes leading our program, and then she's leaving your program and you're like, well, so long, Adia Barnes. We got Becky Burke now, and the positivity around the program is like it's increased tenfold in less than 48 hours.
Yes. You threw a lot at me there, Kevin.
I did.
So there's a lot to divulge.
The quote kind of worked me up, because it was I don't know.
Yeah, but there's 8 different things I wanted to hit on in all of that. I guess just for me, the answer is more in the middle on all of this stuff. Like, yes, Arizona definitely pulled back on the allocation of resources to women's basketball. And I'm sure that really didn't make Adia Barnes happy, and that would be, that would be something that would bother somebody who's in that position. That being said, Adia Barnes was allocated resources that were more than Arizona could swallow in terms of what they had available to them, and they had to find a way to decrease it a little bit, right? Also, SMU, yes, I'm sure that their allocation of resources is significantly higher in terms of NIL in particular than Arizona, because they are one of the richest schools in the country in the most affluent area in all of Texas, Kevin, and that's a school, TCU down the street, not really down the street, but in Fort Worth, they have the most NIL resources of any women's basketball program essentially. So yes, SMU is going to want to compete with that, given that it's Dallas versus Fort Worth, kind of in that same area. So I'm sure that Adia is in a spot now where she can be happy with the amount of resources. And I'm sure she's thankful for the fact that they are allocating those resources. Where I have issue is taking shots at your old school when, if you're truly in a happy spot and you're in a better place. And we've talked about this a little bit with our jobs, Kevin, but like, if you're truly happy, then why are you talking about your ex all the time? Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Like
if your new girl is so nice, stop talking about your old girl.
Then it doesn't. Then be happy. That's fine. Be happy.
Yeah.
Like, we're cool with that, and we want you to be happy. So it's like, you don't need to come take shots at Becky Burke. That's ridiculous. And like, as someone that like was a former player, got to the heights that she did as a coach, no need to kind of make statements like that. And then like the apology just feels kind of hollow. You said what you said. You clearly feel how you feel. And as I said, like, you are the petty queen. So like, these shots are not that's not the first time she said anything. That's the fifth time she said something, right, in this whole process. So it's like, I think that everybody's in the wrong here. Or I won't necessarily even say Arizona's in the wrong. I think that Arizona is trying to be realistic about where they are as an athletic department. Exactly. And that didn't include paying a coach top 10 money. And it's unfortunate that we're here, but that is the case. I think that we can also admit that as fans, right? Like, yes, there is a lack of resources now comparatively to like where maybe we were. But that being said, Michael's also right. Like, he set it up in the chat. Arizona is all-time influential athletic department when it comes to success in women's athletics.
A pillar.
Yes. Well, like what Mike Candrea did in the softball program was like revolutionary to women's athletics and how seriously they have been taken, moving forward. Like, so it's, I think to act like Arizona is like some school that doesn't care about women's sports is also ridiculous. And Becky Burke has like, people were reporting on it. Becky Burke is like, I mean, she I think her assistant pool is like top 3 in the Big 12. Like, it's not as if the resources have completely dried up. Arizona is still attempting to be successful in women's basketball. Becky Burke is still making $600,000. Like,
you're taking Adia's contract and you're spending it on
everybody.
Becky Burke and her assistants.
Yeah, and so it's, to me, it's like, it's clearly there was a indication from DRF that there needs to be a step back in terms of allocation of resources to women's athletics. But that doesn't mean that Arizona is punting on women's basketball. And I agree with you in the fact that like the positivity around the program, especially with players leaving year after year and kind of that revolving cycle, Kevin, now hopefully Arizona can sit down and build something a little bit more sustainable in terms of like players that want to be here and fit into this culture. So I don't hate Adia. I'll always love Adia for what she brought to this program and just kind of like her overall influence on our women's basketball program. But that being said, like, I think we're done with the taking shots at, your former school, your former boss. Like, there's no one benefits from that whatsoever. And all it does is galvanize the fans that are in your corner to hate DRF and this school more and make the people that already hate you even more. It's all it is being divisive. You know what I mean? And I just feel like that there's no need for that divisiveness right now, because if you're happy, be happy. And we're happy with Becky Burke, so we'll be good. Very,
very well said, Damon. And I don't got to add any more to it. I already waxed poetic about it. I think you just wrapped it up there extremely well, very eloquently. Let's end on some positive stuff, shall we, Damon? I wanted to mention really, really fast that Arizona baseball walked off Oklahoma State yesterday to take the series finale. That's 12 straight home series finale W's for the Diamond. I was going to call them the Diamond Cats, but I feel like
not a thing.
Yeah, people don't really but also
sounds like Diamondbacks.
Yeah, but they also don't really like when you take the cat thing and put it at the end of the place they play thing. Anyway,
I think like Lady Cats is pretty sweet, but Erica said no.
Yeah, go. Yeah. Same thing with Gym Cats. Like, apparently no go on.
I've heard Gym Cats a lot.
I don't know. I sometimes
does the Gym account not tweet that?
They do, but I think like so I forget if it was Erica or someone else like within Arizona Athletics I was talking to. I think someone like that kind of looks at media stuff for Arizona. Kind of it's an interesting thing. They just kind of don't like it. Yeah, Kobe with the Bat Cats. It was right there. How did I not grab Bat Cats? Anyway, Arizona baseball doing their thing. 24-4 under Chip Hale in home series finale games. So Arizona, an incredibly great team at closing out teams at home. Andrew Kane had a huge Sunday. Recently converted to an outfielder and started in right field yesterday. 3 for 3 with a walk and 2 RBI. 1 home run shy of the cycle. And yeah, I also wanted to give a shout out to Arizona softball as well, Damon, who kind of dominated Kansas at the end of last week there, ended that series 11-1. And then you have men's and women's tennis advancing to the Big 12 tournament. Number 12 in the country are the men's side, 21-4, 6-2 in the conference, with the opportunity to host the opening rounds there. And then the women, number 30 in the country, they are the number 5 seed and will take on either Utah or Cincinnati in the second round on Thursday.
Nice. Well, so, as you mentioned, beat Oklahoma State this weekend, walk off in the final game. I think Oklahoma State a little bit better team than their record maybe portrays, Kevin, and a consistently really good baseball program in general. But Arizona baseball, it hasn't been. I saw this tweet from Michael Lev this weekend regarding Brendan Summerhill and Arizona's record without him and him being hurt right now, Kevin. And let me see if I can find this. This isn't great podcasting, but
it's actually the best podcasting.
7-5 since losing Brendan Summerhill. It doesn't seem like he will be back this upcoming week, but he should be back the week after that. Arizona plays GCU tomorrow, Kevin?
Correct. Before getting back to conference play.
Yeah. Should be a fun little game. And I feel like we lost to GCU earlier in the season, correct? So
yeah, GCU
actually
a little
bit of a revenge action here.
GCU have won 4 straight against Arizona.
Wow.
And that includes the 11-5 game April 1st last year.
That has to stop.
In the NCAA regionals that you were referencing.
Oh, that 11-5 game happened on April 1st this year.
Yeah.
And then play tomorrow at High Corbett. Zona Zoo night. Make sure you guys get out there 6 p.m. Should be a good one. We got to end that streak. Because I know that, like, obviously GCU and ASU is a little bit more contentious, but it is annoying as hell when you have the NAU or GCU fan. When you give them anything to be happy about, the other 2 D1 schools in the state, like when you lose to them, it just feels bad. Even though GCU is a great baseball program, great basketball program, even though they lose to ASU every year, which I don't really get, but. Yeah, definitely got to flip the script there, Kevin. And then I think talking about some softball too, sweep Kansas to get the job done. All you needed to do, Kevin,
got the brooms out.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, just taking a peek at those standings for softball. Arizona is currently in second place still in softball, behind Texas Tech, as we talked about last week. Texas Tech has won 12 in a row. Kevin.
What a streak.
Yeah, and Arizona still has more wins, has a better record than them overall, 36-7 compared to 34-9. But Texas Tech in conference has just been an absolute wagon. And gearing up for that big Arizona versus Texas Tech game or series that's going to happen here, starting on the 17th, which is Thursday. So yeah, make sure you guys head out and support. Go to Rita. And watch that matchup, because that 3-game series could be massive, Kevin, in terms of evening up the conference standings, and Arizona potentially taking home its first Big 12 title in any sport. And it would be good to get one here in the Diamond Sports to end this season out. So, yep, gotta love the trajectory of our baseball and softball programs, both in a very, very good spot, Kevin, in terms of the teams right now, not in terms of the contracts that the coaches have, which they need to sort out, but
TBD.
Yes. So yeah, those kind of the recap from the weekend. Moving on, Kevin, we have some stuff in here, just some quick updates on T-Mac and just kind of his vibes regarding the NFL draft. He has visited the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Patriots, the Browns, the Seahawks, the Panthers, and the Saints. 3 more visits lined up as well. This is per Jordan Schultz, who kind of seems to be the mouthpiece of T-Mac's camp, given that he was the first one to tweet out the 40 time information. And now this seems like Jordan Schultz is going to be the authority on Tetairoa McMillan information this offseason. But looking at those teams, we're looking at 12th pick, 6th pick, 22nd pick, 4th pick, 2nd pick, I think 19th pick, I think 8th pick and 9th pick. So kind of mostly in that range of around the 10th overall pick, Kevin, which I think is what we've been talking about most of the season, regardless of all the smoke that's been going on around T-Mac in the draft streets and kind of the the things that have been said that me and you in particular disagree with, just having watched our guy for 3 seasons now, acting like he's some big stiff receiver that like can't run routes and like doesn't have elite yards after catch ability like he does. But I think, we don't want T-Mac in a Saints uniform. That's number one, first and foremost for me. That's the number one team I don't want to see him go to because they don't have a whole lot going for them. And in this season in particular, if they drafted him with the first round pick, that means that they probably would have Spencer Rattler throwing him the football this season. So that would be kind of nasty.
Arizona connection, man. You never know.
I'm good on that.
You never know what could happen.
I'm a big Arizona hype man, but I'm good on that connection. And then I know people hate this just in terms of the team, but I think in terms of fit, the Cowboys is just such a good fit. I keep going back to it. You look at the Cowboys and it's just like CeeDee Lamb lines up in the slot most of the time. T-Mac can go on the outside. CeeDee Lamb will get most of the attention. Dak Prescott, he compiles stats with the best of them. Like, guy's not a good quarterback, very average / mediocre, but I'd be damned if he's not throwing for like 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns every season and break me off a piece of that, Kevin. So I think T-Mac, I'm sitting here. I think that Cowboys would be a great fit for him. And there are some other teams on the docket as well that could be pretty solid. The Chargers would be a good fit, obviously, if he lasted that low. That's kind of where I feel, Michael. I feel like lowest I could see him going would be the Chargers. Maybe that's maybe that's not low enough.
No, I think I agree.
You look at the Chargers, they don't have anybody that's like T-Mac on their roster. Ladd and T-Mac fit together well, and Herbert needs that number one guy, I think. Like, Ladd's a great receiver, don't get me wrong, but he's not your like quintessential X receiver type that you like, is the guy, right?
Not a big Quentin Johnson guy, Damon?
No, not a big Quentin Johnson guy.
I can't interest you in Quentin Johnson as a 5+ year number one receiver?
Yeah, I can't say you can. But I'm trying to think of other floors maybe that are a little bit lower than that Charger spot at 22. Maybe the Ravens at 27. I mean, that would be if they passed up on him at 27. I would go think, what are we doing here, gentlemen?
Could that be a more perfect team for like me personally? Like, me, like I feel like
I love
Lamar to T-Mac.
Yeah.
That would make me...
Lamar's my favorite quarterback in the league.
That would probably make me the biggest football fan of any football fan on planet Earth. I don't know what I would do if that happened. I don't know what I would do if that happened.
There's no world in which he passes them or the Commanders at 29, who also could probably use another receiver. But yeah, I really do think that 22 spot for the Chargers is his real floor. And I think his real ceiling is 8 for the Panthers. That's kind of 8 to 22. That's what I'm going to put my stamp on, Kevin, for the people at home.
Stamped. Clip it, chat. We now know if Damon is right, Damon is right. And I hope he's right. I hope he goes 8. I hope he goes as high as possible.
Yeah.
I want T-Mac to get the biggest bag humanly possible.
That'd be electric. What excuses will they give Mr. Hypothetical once they give him a good coach, Ladd and T-Mac? I hope my guy Alec is gone out of this chat forever because that'd be a big trigger warning for him. But the if man, Justin Herbert. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. We're gonna keep monitoring where T-Mac is being slotted to go to, and hopefully, the witch hunt over our guy stops a little bit here, Kevin, because it's been gross. It
has been gross. It's that time of year, Damon, where
it is.
The draft analysts are just overthinking and rethinking and then overthinking. It's just crazy. But yeah, T-Mac is by far the best receiver in the class. Probably one of the most pro-ready guys in the entire draft class. Regardless of position, he's probably one of the most ready to step in and play day one guys. So if T-Mac does drop, a team is going to get a true gem.
I've been talking about it on PHNX Cardinals. Like if he starts falling, Kevin, like that's not the worst news in the world because that means he's going to a better team with probably a better quarterback, right?
Correct. No, correct. Yeah.
That's kind of been the way I've been rationalizing it in my head is if say he does fall and he's on the clock with that Chargers pick, like even though I like making fun of Justin Herbert too, I see Mike. Admittedly, Justin Herbert is a stats god. He'd put up crazy numbers with T-Mac. And that would be a great spot for his career. And it would be, his hometown, if you will. Not that Orange County is where SoFi Stadium is, but his family would get to watch him play every week, which would be pretty sweet too. So yeah, I mean, I'm pumped about watching this draft. I agree with you, Kobe. Like listen, I fell in love with Matthew Golden, in particular in the college football playoff, those 2 games that he had, once against the first one against Ohio State, the second one against, or not Ohio State. That was the third game that they played, but they played, I forget their first game, and then they played ASU and then Ohio State. He had a great college football playoff. I love that he clearly is fast. He ran like a 4.39. He catches with his hands, which I find that's a big thing, right? No one does that better than T-Mac, by the way, but he's a hands catcher, not a body catcher like a Quentin Johnston. That being said, like, this was a guy who was projected to be a 3rd-round pick at that moment in time. Now they're trying to say that he's better than T-Mac, who's been the number 1 receiver in his class since he was 14 years old, all the way up. Everybody's known who Tetairoa McMillan was for years, Kevin. And you know, he was the number 1 receiver in his class every year that he was in college too. And now right when the draft comes around, it's like, let's start this tear down fest of oh, he's slow, oh, he can't run routes, just like BS stuff that genuinely is not even true. So yeah, I mean, I think you're looking at, like, I think Golden's a good receiver. I like Golden. I like Burden as well with the value you can get. I just think that we're talking about different stratospheres of prospects here. Like, one guy is ready to be a star, I think, right away in this league.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I mean, I love Luther Burden. You know I love Luther Burden. But yeah, T-Mac, again, I've said it. I just said it 30 seconds ago, but I'll reiterate it again because it is just simply true, and there's nothing really more you need to know if you're breaking it down from a draft perspective of one of these guys is 50% more pro ready right now today than 100% of the field, right? And that is why when you pair T-Mac, his skills with his mentality, you do get a guy that has no right going outside the top 10. So yeah.
What's crazy about it to me is you know, like he's a guy where, and you can, I feel like, you know, you can kind of level with this a little bit, Kevin. Like, T-Mac is always the person that everyone compares to, right? And it has been that way for years. Luther Burden's better than T-Mac. Okay. And then you go halfway through the season and you don't hear Luther Burden's name anymore. Now Matthew Golden's better than T-Mac. It's always some guy's better than T-Mac. And it's like, why is one guy always in the conversation? Oh yeah, because he's as consistent as it gets and he never drops off. He's always he's the pinnacle. He's who we compare everybody to. Yeah. And there's a reason for that, because he's the best prospect out of all of them, and it's not even close. Kobe, I don't know if I would consider, I mean, I think we're looking right now with Jonah as a 2nd, 3rd round guy. I think 3rd is his floor, but I kind of think that's always where he's been. I know that going into the season, a lot of people were like, Arizona has 3 first-round picks. I always kind of felt like Jonah's ceiling was a 2nd round guy, just because it's so hard to be a 1st-round pick. But that being said, he's like one of the, you know, he's a top 3 interior offensive lineman prospect in this draft. I think that he's a really high floor prospect, and I could see a team reaching on a guy like that, in terms of, like, not really a reach per se, but like, say a team like the Kansas City Chiefs on the back end of the 1st round, they have the 2nd to last pick in the draft. They're favorites to pick an offensive lineman right now. Maybe they look at Jonas Avenea and think to themselves, Kevin, like, that is an incredibly high floor prospect that we can target, that we know will be a good starter right away on this team. So I think that you can entirely see him maybe rise up late. I think that you're seeing him probably as more of a 2nd round guy with that floor being 3rd round. But the fall off out of the Arizona prospects this year really goes down to Tacario Davis. That's the guy that was a guy who was considered to be a 1st round pick and had to transfer back to a different school to re-up his draft stock because he had such a pathetic season. So he did. He was awful.
I just like that word. It's a funny word to throw in there. You know what I mean? Had a pathetic season.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just calling it like it is, and now he's a Washington Husky. And speaking of, by the way, real quick before we get out of here, that was kind of our draft update for the time being. Also, it would be cool if Tyler Loop gets drafted, which I think there's a small chance of. So rooting for 3 Arizona Wildcats to hear their name called at the NFL draft. But did you see the University of Washington football program action figure tweets that they brought out, Kevin?
No, you and our guy Zach Bossy were talking about it this morning. when I was doing our show prep, but I was not really listening. I mean, I was listening to the extent of I know what you're about to say.
Classic Kevin doesn't listen to me.
But I was not really too tapped in on the conversation that you and Zach were having.
Yes. So basically, they made a bunch of those AI, Washington Husky action figures, and they posted 5 of them onto their Instagram account. Number 1, of course, Jed Fish. I told Zach that they should have snake oil as one of the accessories that you can get with your Jed Fish action figure. Instead, they just have a visor, a football, a whistle, and a playbook. But it's like, where's the snake oil? Come on, guys. We all know Jed Fish brought his snake oil. But on top of that, the next ones that they did, Kevin, Jonah Coleman. Let me tell me if these names sound familiar. Jonah Coleman, DeMond Williams, Ephesians Prysock.
Yeah, okay.
And then this guy named Landon Hatchett, who's on their offensive line. They did 5, and 4 of them were Arizona Wildcats. Disgusting.
Rent free, Cope, more Huskies.
Wouldn't you say that rent free would kind of be on our? We would be the ones that are.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, I'm saying that this is an example of the fact that because you stole your roster from a whole other school, you actually have no guys that you'd be like, oh, these are our guys.
Yeah.
Like, they're all someone else's guys. So no matter what, whoever made that graphic is going through like, oh, Ephesians Prysock, oh yeah, Arizona transfer. Oh, Jonah Coleman, oh yeah, Arizona transfer. So yes, I also really wanted to say rent free and Cope. So
I could tell.
Yeah.
Sam Alberts here in the chat. My guy says he loves how the local companies for Seattle for recruiting purposes. It's my favorite thing. It's the, and I've tweeted it before, and I'm going to continue to do it every time they do it. But it's the Good Morning Sunshine with the cow that's emaciated because the farmer squeezed all the milk out of it already, and it's. It's Alaskan Airlines is the cow, and REI and Microsoft. It's just all these companies. They're just like, come to Mont Lake. We have companies that are based here. You're like, cool. That's sweet, man. But that was our Washington and Jed Fish update for the day, Kevin. Talked about some old friends. Talked about Adia Barnes. Talked about Jed Fish. Hopefully talked about a friend that will be coming back in the fold in Carter Bryant and just this roster in general. That's going to do it for us today. This is the AZ Wildcats podcast. We appreciate everybody for being here. Kevin, how many people we got in here right now? 91 people in here right now. Everybody, give yourself a like. Drop a like on this video for you, not for Kevin to get more sleep. Kevin had a good rest this weekend. He can go without good sleep today.
I actually did sleep really well last
night. I know you did. But that being moving forward, it is for Kevin's sleep, but today this one's a pat on the back for yourself, folks. Give yourself a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We appreciate everybody for being here. Shout out everybody here in the chat. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys being here all the time. He is Kevo Posts on Twitter. That's KEVOPOSTS. I am Damon Dog on Twitter, where you can find me fighting with ASU fans because I have currently 17 notifications on my Twitter account, Kevin. Can't wait to dive into those bad boys and see what we got on deck there. I tweeted stats, and numbers make ASU fans angry. We learned today. AZ Catch G with his quintessential buzzer beater, $2. Hello, guys. My man. Thank you so much, AZ Catch G, a staple of this chat.
We appreciate it.
We will be back tomorrow for a noon edition of the AZ Wildcats podcast on a Tuesday. Be there or be square. I am Damon Dog. He is Kevo Post. We are PHNX_Wildcats. On Twitter, make sure you give us a follow and give our main account a follow, PHNX_sports as well. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you next time on the AZ Wildcats podcast tomorrow at noon. Peace out, bear down,
and go Cats!
We all silly like the mayor.